Welcome to this week's What's for Dinner video. My name is Ashley. I'm going to be showing you 3 different meals I made this week. I don't always follow recipes exactly, but if you are interested, I've linked some similar recipes down below. I'm going to start off with showing you my easy meal of the week, but it is a staple in our house. It is the Trader Joe's barbecue chicken teriyaki, and I just made this with some white rice and some pot stickers. This is pretty self-explanatory. I just put some oil in the pan, I add the frozen chicken and cook it until it's all nice and warmed through, and then I just add the sauce and let this simmer together. Trader Joe's frozen chicken entrees are one of our favorite meals to make if I'm going to be making a frozen meal. So this is how everything looked when it was done. The chicken was done, my 1 cup of white rice was done, and the pot stickers. This chicken has a reputation of being too chewy, but it is chicken thighs, so chicken thighs are normally a lot more chewy, but it is very good. The next meal is one of my favorite things to make, just some chicken fajitas and some Mexican rice. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of oil and 1 cup of rice. I'm just going to let this toast up and it will become somewhat fragrant. Then I'm just going to add 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of garlic salt, and 1 teaspoon of onion powder. Once it's all nice and toasted, I like to add half a jar of tomato sauce, so I'm adding about 4 ounces of tomato sauce. For 1 cup of rice, I like to add 2 cups of water. Then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of chicken bouillon and 1 teaspoon of tomato bouillon. I use the bouillon powders in place of the chicken broth. So I like to make sure that this is all very mixed together. I just bring it up to a simmer and put the lid on it and turn the heat down. So I'm going to get started on chopping the vegetables. I just have 1 orange bell pepper and 1 yellow bell pepper, and then I'm going to cut up part of a yellow onion. The smell of cooking bell peppers and onions together is like my favorite cooking smell. So now I'm going to get started working on the chicken. I'm just going to butterfly 2 chicken breasts and dice them into small strips. I just prefer to cut my chicken first before I cook it for fajitas, just so I know everything's all cooked through. So before I cook it, I'm also going to season both the chicken and the fajita veggies. I'm just using some garlic salt, some cumin, some onion powder, and some paprika for color. I always have the hardest time getting cumin out of the bottle just because I think it all sticks together. So I'm just going to mix this all together and get them both on a pan. I'm going to start with cooking the chicken first, and once it's almost all the way cooked, I will add the fajita veggies to the same pan. I also have my pan set on about a 7 or an 8. I like the pan super hot. That way it just kind of evaporates all the juice and moisture that the chicken and the veggies let out. So once the chicken was almost done, I just added in the veggies to the same pan. So I'm just going to let all of this cook together. This is truly my favorite smell ever. So this is how the chicken and veggies looked when they're done, and the rice when it was done. This is one of my favorite meals. I love fajitas. I just topped it with some pico de gallo and some cilantro. The last meal I'm going to be showing you was a pesto chicken lasagna. This was the first time I've ever made it, and I will definitely be making it again. So I just cooked 3 chicken breasts in my Instant Pot. I'm just going to shred them up when they're done and add in the mixture. I'm going to be adding in some pesto and a little bit of Alfredo sauce. For the seasonings, I'm going to use this Louisiana seasoning and some onion powder. I'm going to give this a mix. I've already cooked my lasagna noodles, boiled them, drained them, so now they're ready to go. So I have my 13 by 9 baking dish. I'm just going to spread a little bit of the sauce on the bottom just to make sure it doesn't stick. So I'm going to go ahead and layer the lasagna noodles. I'm going to then add some of the chicken. I found that using my hand for the chicken was a lot more efficient. So then I add a little bit of pesto, a little bit of the Alfredo sauce, and some cheese. You have to use the Alfredo sauce just to make sure everything is nice and creamy and helps cook the noodles while it's in the oven. So again, I just repeat the process. I think I had about 3 layers of the actual chicken mixture. Again, I'm just going to put some pesto, the chicken, some Alfredo, and cheese. This in the oven smelled absolutely insane. My entire house smelled so good that you could probably smell it from outside. I ended up using the entire jar of the pesto. It was a family size. For the top layer, I just did some pesto and some Alfredo. I then took a spoon just to mix it all together. Again, this just helps keep it nice and creamy, especially on the top. And then I just layered the cheese. I baked this uncovered at about 350 degrees until it was brown. For my vegetable, I'm going to be using some green beans. I'm just going to use some garlic and herb seasoning in the same Louisiana seasoning that I use for the chicken. This again will go in the oven at about 350 degrees as well. This came out freaking amazing. The smell of this was insane. This is how it looked when it was done. Thank you so much for watching this week's What's for Dinner video. Make sure you come back next week for another one.